of emergency relief. And I'm going a little personally, we need to not only express the concerns of the American people, as we did in H.R. 1613, but we need to look at the long term in terms of rebuilding Pakistan. Now, if everything was perfect in Pakistan at the beginning of this year, and the only problem was the flood, Pakistan would be one of the nations in the world most beset by disaster just from this one disaster. And if there hadn't been a flood, Pakistan would be one of the most troubled nations in the world, given the difficulties it is facing, particularly in the Northwest Territories. To put these two together shows that Pakistan is the country in the world that probably most needs American help and support. Now, that is why I've supported the Enhanced Partnership with Pakistan Act, which, as you know, authorizes $7.5 billion over 5 years in aid to Pakistan, and is specifically designed to promote economic development and democracy. And I could go on. They've told me not to speak for 30 minutes, but just to let you know that my door is open, whether it be supporting the U.S.-Pakistan relationship on the floor of the House, or whether it's trying to unsnarl issues involving either government. Now and then I'm on the phone to our State Department and our embassies, pointing out this or that personal or practical issue. And as it happens, Hussein Akhani is a personal friend, and now and then I'm on the phone trying to deal with individual issues involving Pakistan.
We greatly appreciate the insights that you can share with us, and at the outset, I want to just express my condolence over the terrible loss of life as a result of the flooding. And I know many of you have been intimately involved in the relief efforts, and I'm proud that our government has been able to assist, but I know there's so much more that needs to be done. The scale of the devastation is really difficult for any of us to imagine, and we send our thoughts and our prayers out to all those that have been affected, and we want you to know that we will continue to work with you to provide any kind of assistance we can. So I wanted to start out by expressing my sincere condolence on that terrible tragedy. I serve on the Appropriations Committee and on the Intelligence Committee, and for many years now I've had a great interest in Pakistan. I recognize the tremendous challenges that the country faces, the incredible people that meet those challenges every day, and I appreciate all of the efforts we have made together to confront some of our common foes, the common scourge of trying to deal with terrorism. What I try to remind my colleagues, and when I discuss the issues facing us in Pakistan and neighboring Afghanistan, I talk about the tremendous sacrifice that your countrymen have made in Pakistan. The military offensives that have been launched in the Swat Valley in South Waziristan have cost a high price. There's been a very heavy loss of life among the Pakistani military and security and intelligence community. And I think there are many people in this country that aren't aware of those sacrifices. We're also abundantly familiar with the challenges of the displaced persons from the Swat Valley and South Waziristan. Couple that with the logistical challenges posed now by the flooding, and it's plain that the Pakistani government and military have an enormous challenge on their hands. And we stand ready to partner with you to try to meet those challenges. I think that the combined effect of the military pressure that the Pakistani military has put on the Pakistani Taliban, on Al-Qaeda, combined with the pressure that we have put on the Taliban and Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan, has seriously degraded Al-Qaeda's ability to attack, which I think is a very positive step forward. Nonetheless, there are a lot of difficult days ahead of us, and we're going to meet those challenges hand in hand. And it's been a great pleasure for me to get to know the country better through the course of the last several years. I've visited Pakistan now many times, and also had the chance to greet many delegations coming here. I serve on the House Democracy Partnership Commission as well, and we have a wonderful parliamentary exchange with Pakistan, and I very much appreciate that relationship as well. So on all these fronts, in terms of dealing with the common military effort, dealing with some of the humanitarian needs of the country, dealing with capacity building in terms of democratic institutions. These are great areas of partnership. But I want to mention one other, and this is, I know, a topic that I've discussed with many of your colleagues, both here and abroad, and that is, historically, a lot of our financial assistance has gone out through American NGOs or other international NGOs on the ground in Pakistan. We would like to see that change. We want to see a Pakistani face on the relief efforts. We would like to obviously direct a lot of our assistance through the Pakistani government, so the government itself can build the capacity, as well as Pakistani NGOs and Pakistani agencies that are devoted to education, that are devoted to healthcare and other needs. And I know you've seen with Secretary Clinton and with Ambassador Holbrooke an effort to really transform the nature of our foreign aid and development assistance so that it is both much more efficacious, but also is something that is being performed by the Pakistani people themselves. I think this is an enormous step in the right direction.
We've had a tough year, but I think we can applaud the people of Pakistan as resilient. And I have been in meetings working to not let the tragedy of the floods stop the long-term economic opportunities for the people of Pakistan. When we look at Kerry Lugar, that was supposed to build on infrastructure. Now we know that infrastructure that was there may not be there now. And frankly, we need to begin to build flood detecting or flood, if you will, the kind of structure that will be able to rebuff the kind of damaging floods that we had, that they will be able to withstand that kind of unfortunate natural disaster. Opportunities for business persons, both Americans and Pakistani Americans, and of course Pakistani themselves, are through joint venture. And I believe that that should be some of the issues that we are concerned about. We have heard your concerns about who gets the money, about the issue of NGOs, of education. We've heard your concerns about where we are as it relates to the question of security in Afghanistan. But the squeaky wheel gets heard. And the more that you come to the United States Congress and collaborate with all of us on a number of issues, whether it is the building of a mosque that impact many in the Pakistani American community, whether it's a question of travel on our airlines and through our airports, we have made some progress on many of these issues as you have addressed them. By the number of individuals who have come today, you recognize we now have an expanded coalition of individuals who are concerned and ready to fight to make our lives better and to make our points where we are conveying them not only to the President, but to the Secretary of State. So as a person that never gives up on the great opportunities that we have in front of us, who is now planning to make another of my trips to Pakistan with a number of resources and personnel to help the lingering suffering from the floods, I have a great sense of hope that with your collective body politic and concern, that we have the grand opportunity of rebuilding for the people and working with those who will work with us in building a government, in maintaining the democracy that I know the Pakistani people love and rebuilding their lives.